Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're looking at the ESEE Zancudo Auto. This one is made for ESEE by Blue Ridge Knives out of Marion, Virginia. So we're looking at a made in the USA automatic knife here. So with that in mind, you're probably thinking, going to have a pretty high price, but you'd be wrong. This one actually comes in under $100. The lowest I've seen it listed lately is $85, which is honestly an incredible price for a US manufactured automatic knife. And it's not like they're skimping on materials to get you there either. The blade is 3 inches of 14C28 and steel. And there's also an M390 version, which will run you about $150, which is obviously a little more, but still not a bad price for an M390 USA made automatic. These scales are G10. They have a little bit of texture on them. Enough to give you a little extra grip, but not remotely to the point that I would consider them rough. Onto ergos, I can get a full 4-finger grip on there, absolutely no problem. Don't have to worry about this hanging off on the bottom end at all. It has a tiny bit of jimping right here for your thumb. I probably would have continued a little farther up here to give you a little bit more jimping, but can't complain about it. There's no swells in the scales, as you can see. They're just flat all the way across, which isn't a huge deal. Probably makes it easier for putting a pocket clip on and everything. And with the swell here, I guess if you want to call it horizontally, I think it is very comfortable in the hand when it comes to that. I don't usually talk about the appearance of knives, but this one, I just think it's a little bit awkward looking, which isn't a huge deal. I think it's just the size and the angle of the blade compared with the thickness of the scale here. It just looks a tiny bit awkward, doesn't affect the utility at all. And I mean, what ESEE is kind of known for is, utility, hardworking knives, things like that. Just something that I noted just because, like I said, it's not something that usually bothers me, but I noticed. Unlike most autos that use a button, as you can see, this actually uses a crossbar lock as the actuator. So instead of pushing down a button, you just pull down on that. The spring tension is fine on that. I think they probably could have actually sprung it a little tighter, used a stronger spring, however you want to put it. Because not that it's bad or anything, it's just not as snappy as pretty much all of my other autos. But it's not anything that I'm going to complain about. So as far as carry goes, I wouldn't say this is an especially heavy knife, nor is it a lightweight knife. It's just kind of somewhere in the middle. The one thing that I would change as far as carry goes, you may have seen it when I had it up here, this is not a deep carry pocket clip. In fact, it kind of starts pretty far down on the scales compared to what I usually like. It's not the end of the world. It's not a huge deal, but I would like a deep carry pocket clip. The only aftermarket one that I've seen lately is actually on Etsy, and the lead time on it is like 2 to 3 months, I think, after you order it, because the gentleman that makes it makes them to order. It's not a big enough of a deal for me that I'm going to order something and wait 2 to 3 months for it. The one thing I did see somebody mentioned on a forum online is that Kershaw, Leak, and Blur deep carry pocket clips do fit this. The person said that you have to drill out the screw holes a little bit on those just for the screws on the Zancudo to fit. So I can't confirm that, but I mean, it seemed legit when he was talking about it online. So probably worth a shot if you really want a deep carry clip. Maybe eventually I'll break down and get one myself. Um, uh, but yeah, this looking at the pictures online, the screw spacing and just the general shape does look like it would. So if you happen to have done that, let me know down in the comments, just so I can say for sure if it actually does work. So on to build quality, and that is where I'm going to knock this knife, and it is going to be a huge knock, which is weird for me to say about an ESEE knife. But overall, the feel is solid, the lockup is solid, the crossbar operates just fine. But when I got the knife, there was a sizable chip or dent or whatever you want to call it right in the middle of the blade. And I'm going to try to bring it up to the camera here and see if I can show you, because there's still a little bit of it left. So right by the tip of my finger there is where it is. Oh, I think I'm getting too close, getting blurry. But you can kind of see it there. And I've mostly sharpened it out. But so when I got it, I figured, maybe just a bad quality control day at the factory, it got bumped off something, chipped it, dented it, whatever. So I just kind of sharpened it out as much as I could. You can tell I didn't completely sharpen it out, but I figured, just get that done out of the way and we wouldn't have any issues. But the other day, I think it was a couple weeks ago, I saw that Jerad over at Neeve's Knives did a video about the Zancudo himself, and he mentioned that he had the exact same dent chip on his edge. And what he ended up figuring out is when the blade is closed, if you put much pressure at all on the blade, you can make it contact that barrel spacer. And I'm going to bring it up by my microphone just so you can kind of hear. You can hear it bumping against that. So hopefully that wasn't too loud. But that was kind of an epiphany for me of, oh, it wasn't just bad quality control, it's actually a design issue, which huge props and a huge thanks to Jerad for figuring that out. It made things make a lot more sense with this knife for me. And I don't use this Zancudo a ton, so I haven't had a chance to see if sharpening took out enough material to make it a non-issue, but as you can hear, I'm pretty sure that that's it hitting that barrel spacer. So I'm guessing it's going to take a long time of sharpening before it's not going to be bumping against that. And the thing that kills me about that is this is ESEE. They've been making knives for a long time, although actually I guess this was made for ESEE, but this is just like a knife design 101 thing. When you're designing a knife, when you're designing the internals, it should be common sense to make sure that it doesn't hit that barrel spacer when it's in there. That's just kind of knife design 101. So that, to me, that's a glaring issue, and that's one that really should have been figured out in the design process. So getting past that, the pros and cons for me. The biggest pro for this has to be the price. Under $100 for a US manufactured automatic knife and a pretty decent steel is an insane deal as far as I'm concerned. I think the ergos are also solid, and they make it an easy to use knife for long periods of time, probably because this is just a very comfortable handle. The blade shape and design is very utilitarian. The 3-inch length of the blade also makes it legal in a lot of places. Although it's going to be legal in fewer places just because it is an automatic knife. So as always, check your local knife laws and the knife laws of anywhere that you plan on traveling. As far as cons, obviously the biggest con is that blade spacer contact issue. I can't stress enough how basic of a thing that is that they need to get right. It's enough, if it's enough that it can chip or dent the blade, that's not just an occasional light tap kind of thing. That means that that blade was knocking against that barrel spacer significantly. The fact that it came with that dent or chip, whatever you want to call that in the blade. And much less of an issue, but noteworthy enough for me to mention is the fact that it doesn't have a deep carry pocket clip and there's not one available for it. So moving on to some comparisons, and I'm just going to compare it to some of the automatic knives that I own. The first one I have up here is the Kershaw Launch 20. Pretty similar in size. I think the Launch 20 is a little bit longer in the handle, and blade size is pretty comparable. The deployment on this is much snappier. And the Launch 20 is actually a lot cheaper than you might think. I want to say I got this one for $130 or $140, which is pretty reasonable when you consider that's only like $40, maybe $50 more than the going rate of the Zancudo. And you're getting Magna Cut steel and an aluminum handle with the inlays here. For your dollar, as long as you have the money, I think the Launch 20 is probably a better deal as an automatic knife. And that's all the issues with the Zancudo aside. The next one that I have is the Microtech Hera 2 Mini, which is a different kind of auto. This is an OTF auto. You can see the scales, handle area is about the same. The blade is a little bit shorter on the Hera, I think, but pretty comparable in size. But like I said, different kind of auto, but this one is just a lot of fun to fidget with. Next is the Boger Kalashnikov, which this one, I believe I swapped the spring out on. I can't remember for sure, but I think I swapped it out for a higher power spring, so it definitely has a very snappy deployment. The handle, as you can see, is noticeably longer, as is the blade. I want to say this is a 3.25-inch blade, but this isn't one that I carry super often just because I can't legally carry it because it is longer than 3 inches. But I do carry it around the house sometimes and things like that. And the last one that I have to compare it to is the ProTech Newport. This is a little bit thinner, more like I kind of call this my um, gentleman's automatic knife, which the Kershaw can kind of fall under that too. But this one is just a little bit more sleek, stylish, really cool knife, I think, and very snappy action. The scales on the Newport are a little bit longer, you can see, but pretty comparable, and the blade length is pretty darn close. And this is S35VN steel, by the way. So getting back to the Zancudo, would I buy it again and would I recommend it? Sadly, that is a no on both counts. And that's at least in its current form. For as much as I like the overall design, ergos, and price, that blade barrel spacer issue is just way too glaring of an issue, and it affects the cutting edge of the knife, which is the whole reason that you own a knife. Now, if ESEE and or Blue Ridge Knives corrected the issue, absolutely, I would recommend it. But I haven't seen anything from them since Jerad over at Neeve's Knives brought it up, which it has only been a couple of weeks in all fairness. But I do want to make clear that I have not personally reached out to ESEE or Blue Ridge Knives. So it's not like they've ignored the issue with me or anything like that. I haven't contacted them. So it's possible if I reach out to their customer service or their warranty department, maybe they would have some kind of solution for me. But I haven't done that yet. So what do you think? Is the blade barrel spacer issue overblown? Is there possibly an obvious DIY fix that I'm missing or something like that? Let me know down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this review, please consider liking and subscribing. And also, if there's any knives or other EDC gear that you want me to check out, please suggest them down in the comments. I'm thinking about taking a look at maybe a few of the multi-tools and flashlights that are in my collection in addition to my knives. But whether it's knives or other gear, if you mention it, I will do my best to get a hold of it to review it. Or if I already have it, I will get a review out on it. So until next time, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and I will see you in the next video.